The golden age of the American sideshow, monsters under the big top. In the flickering glow of gas lamps and the roar of eager crowds, the American sideshow carved out a strange and singular chapter in our nation's history. From the mid-19th century through much of the 20th, these traveling spectacles of human curiosity offered society's outcasts, people born with rare physical differences, extraordinary talents, or simply marketed as wonders of nature, a stage, a paycheck, a community, and sometimes even fame and fortune. But behind the painted banners, the ballyhoo, and the applause lay lives of profound complexity, resilience in the face of exploitation, moments of genuine triumph, and shadows of tragedy, abuse, and forgotten suffering. This is not a simple tale of heroes or villains. It is a human story, one woven from curiosity, commerce, pity, admiration, and the raw realities of living with bodies that defied the ordinary. Let us step back in time, under the canvas, and meet the people who inhabited this world. The Dawn, P.T. Barnum, and General Tom Thumb. Our story properly begins in 1842 in the bustling streets of New York City. Phineas Taylor Barnum, the legendary showman and master of humbug, had opened his American Museum on Broadway. It was a palace of wonders, curiosities, and yes, living exhibits. Barnum was always hunting for the next sensation. He found it in a 4-year-old boy from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Charles Sherwood Stratton was born on January 4, 1838, to normal-sized parents. By 7 months old, his growth had virtually stopped. He stood about 25 inches tall and weighed around 15 pounds when Barnum discovered him. The boy was charismatic, bright-eyed, and quick-witted. Barnum saw star power. He negotiated with Charles's parents, hired the child, initially for a modest sum plus room and board, and crafted a persona, General Tom Thumb, an 11-year-old military prodigy freshly arrived from England. The age and origin were pure Barnum fiction, but the talent was real. Barnum personally trained the boy in singing, dancing, impersonations, and witty banter. Tom Thumb performed as Napoleon, a Scottish Highlander, and in elaborate fairy tale melodramas. Audiences adored him. He became an international phenomenon. In 1844, Barnum took him to Europe. Queen Victoria summoned them to Buckingham Palace, not once, but multiple times. The tiny general charmed the monarch, who gifted him a custom miniature carriage and horses. He performed for other royalty and heads of state. Back home, he met President Abraham Lincoln and lived like a celebrity. In 1863, Tom Thumb married another little person, Lavinia Warren, in a lavish fairy wedding at Grace Episcopal Church in New York. The event was a media circus. Thousands tried to attend, streets were jammed, and the couple received gifts from around the world. They honeymooned with a tour, met more dignitaries, and built a custom mansion. Tom Thumb amassed significant wealth, invested wisely, and died in 1883 at age 45 from a stroke, mourned as a national figure. Lavinia continued performing and lived until 1919. Their story showed that sideshow fame could elevate performers into high society, at least for some. Barnum's success with Tom Thumb helped popularize the Dime Museum and traveling circus sideshows. But as the 19th century progressed, the tone shifted from whimsical curiosities to grittier carnival circuits, where exploitation often ran deeper. The conjoined wonders and other early stars. Not all stories were quite so gilded. Consider the Hilton sisters, Daisy and Violet, born conjoined in 1908 in Brighton, England. They were exhibited from infancy, first by their own mother and later under harsh management. Joined at the hip and sharing blood circulation, they learned to walk, dance, and play instruments in remarkable synchronization. By the 1920s and 30s in America, they starred in vaudeville and sideshows, earning good money but living under restrictive control. Their lives involved legal battles for independence, failed marriages, and eventual decline. They died in 1969, tragically isolated in their final years. Millie and Christine McCoy, the two-headed nightingale, were born into slavery in 1851 in North Carolina, conjoined at the lower spine. Kidnapped and exhibited as children, they endured horrors before gaining freedom after the Civil War. Remarkably, they were educated, became accomplished singers, and toured successfully as free women, performing for European royalty. Their story blended tragedy with hard-won dignity and talent. Frank Lentini, the three-legged man, was born in Sicily in 1881 with a parasitic twin, giving him 3 legs and 4 feet, one small. He moved to the U.S., joined sideshows, and became a beloved performer known for his humor and athleticism. He married, had children, and retired comfortably, another example of a performer who found agency and stability in the life. Johnny Eck, the half-boy, born in 1911 without legs due to sacral agenesis, was a multifaceted talent, acrobat, musician, painter, and magician's assistant. He appeared in films like Freaks and lived a full life with his twin brother, proving remarkable adaptability. Schlitzie the Pinhead's heartbreaking odyssey. As the Carnival era took hold in the early 20th century, the exhibits grew more sensational. One of the most iconic and poignant figures was Schlitzie, often billed as Schlitzie the Pinhead or the Last of the Aztecs. Born around September 10, 1901, possibly as Simon Metz in the Bronx, Schlitzie had microcephaly, resulting in a small skull, short stature, about 4 feet, and intellectual disability equivalent to a young child. His early life is murky. Accounts suggest his family may have sold or relinquished him to sideshow operators due to the challenges of care. He performed with various troupes, including Barnum and Bailey. Schlitzie was known for his infectious joy. He loved crowds, dancing, music, and attention. Caretakers dressed him in a simple smock for practical reasons related to incontinence, and promoters spun exotic, often inaccurate tales of ancient origins. Despite the exploitation, he thrived in the carnival environment, which provided routine, community, and stimulation. In 1932, director Todd Browning cast Schlitzie, along with other real sideshow performers, in the controversial horror film Freaks. The movie aimed to humanize the performers, showing their daily lives and friendships while portraying normal society as cruel. It shocked audiences and was banned or heavily cut in many places, damaging careers. Yet it preserved Schlitzie's gentle spirit on film forever. Tragedy followed. After a longtime caretaker died, Schlitzie was institutionalized in a Los Angeles mental facility. Removed from the only world he knew, the lights, sounds, and people of the carnival, he sank into depression, stopped eating, and nearly died of what those who knew him described as heartbreak. Redemption came through the sideshow community itself. Sword Swallower Bill Unks spotted him during a hospital performance, recognized his old friend, and fought to become his legal guardian. Schlitzie returned to the Midway, where his spark reignited. He lived out his days happily until his death in 1971 at age 70. His story remains one of the most moving testaments to how the sideshow could serve as both a harsh mirror of society and, for some, a surrogate family. The darkness, Lobster Boy, and the shadows of violence. Not every story found redemption. The carnival world also harbored deep pain, addiction, and crime. No figure embodies this more darkly than Grady Stiles Jr., the Lobster Boy. Born June 26, 1937, into a family with a hereditary condition called ectrodactyly, where fingers and toes fuse into claw-like lobster claws, Grady performed from a young age. He developed extraordinary upper body strength, pulling himself around with powerful arms. On stage, he was a draw. Off stage, he was reportedly a volatile, abusive alcoholic who terrorized his family. In 1978, in Pittsburgh, Grady disapproved of his daughter's fiancé. On the eve of the wedding, he shot the young man dead. At trial, he confessed. His defense successfully argued that no prison could accommodate his disability. He received 15 years probation and returned to the carnival circuit, allegedly boasting about getting away with murder. His family lived in fear. In 1992, his wife Mary Teresa, often called Teresa, along with her son from a previous marriage, hired a 17-year-old sideshow worker, Chris Wyant, for $1,500 to kill Grady. On November 29, while Grady watched TV in his Gibsonton, Florida trailer, Wyant shot him 3 times in the head. The case shocked the nation. Wyant was convicted of second-degree murder. Teresa and her son received prison sentences. Grady's funeral was sparsely attended. Few in the tight-knit carnival community volunteered as pallbearers. Gibsonton, Florida, Gibtown, had become a haven for retired carnival folks, including many with disabilities, but the style's saga highlighted the human costs that fame and isolation could exact. Other lives, other wonders. The sideshow was populated by many more. Priscilla Bijano, Monkey Girl, and her husband Emmett, Alligator Skin Boy, due to ichthyosis, were billed as the world's strangest married couple and found companionship in the life. Jeannie Tomini, the half-girl, married Al Tomini, the giant, and they were among Gibsonton's founders. Crowfarini, the missing link, had hypertrichosis, excessive hair, and was exhibited with elaborate evolutionary tailies. Julia Pastrana, the bearded lady, or ape woman, tragically had her body preserved and exhibited after death in the 19th century, an extreme of exploitation. Many performers earned good money, some, like Jojo the dog-faced boy Fedor Jeftichu, saved substantially. Others faced medical misunderstandings, forced performances, or abandonment. The rise of modern medicine, television, and shifting ethics gradually ended the classic freak show era by the late 20th century. What was once spectacle became recognized as human diversity, with greater emphasis on dignity and rights. Reflections on the canvas. The sideshow was a mirror of America itself, entrepreneurial, curious, exploitative, inclusive in its own flawed way, and endlessly dramatic. For every Tom Thumb who rose to wealth, there was a Schlitzie who found fleeting joy amid hardship, or a Grady Stiles whose inner demons destroyed lives. Many performers spoke of camaraderie, purpose, and acceptance within the freak community that the outside world often withheld. Today, their stories endure in folklore, films, museums, and documentaries. They remind us that normal is a fragile illusion, that humanity thrives in its variety, and that behind every banner and barker's call was a real person navigating love, loss, ambition, and survival. The tents are long packed away, the midway lights dimmed, but the echoes of applause and the quieter truths of resilience linger. In the golden age of the American sideshow, the real wonders were the complex, unbreakable human spirits who stepped into the spotlight. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave your comment down below what you thought. Thanks for watching.